Gildan Media presents Your Coach in a Box. Affordable, mind-enriching programs. Gildan Media presents Your Best Life Now, the Lost Classics of Joseph Murphy, including Stay Young Forever, Living Without Strain, and The Healing Power of Love by Joseph Murphy. Narrated by Sean Pratt. Stay Young Forever. A few months ago I called on an old friend of mine in London, England, who was very ill. He said to me, "We are born, grow up, become old and good for nothing, and that's the end." This mental attitude of futility and worthlessness was the chief reason for his sickness. He was frustrated, weak, and almost lifeless. He felt his advanced years, over 80, gave him no hope. His cry was that he was useless and that no one wanted him. He was looking forward to senescence, and after that, nothing. Unfortunately, many people have the same attitude as this man. They are afraid of what they term old age, the end, and extinction, which really means that they are afraid of life. Yet life is endless. Wisdom teaches that age is not the flight of years, but age is the dawn of wisdom. Spirit in man was never born, and can never die. Spirit is God, and God hath no beginning nor end. Man's body is really the garment God wears when he takes the form of man. In order to manifest itself, spirit needs a form. Man's body is the instrument through which the spirit functions on this plane. The spirit and the body are not separate. Man's body is spirit, or life, reduced to the point of visibility. Matter and spirit are not different. They are the same. Spirit is the highest degree of matter, and matter is the lowest degree of spirit. Man will always have a body. When he leaves this plane, he will put on a fourth-dimensional body, and so on to infinity. For there is no end to the glory which is man's. Life is progression. The journey is ever onward, upward, and Godward. All formed things in the universe are gradually returning to the formless, and the formless life is forever taking form. Anything that hath a beginning hath an end. Our body has a beginning. It will again return to the formless, primordial substance, and we will put on a new body, for every end is a beginning. Old age is not a tragic occurrence. What we call the aging process is change. It is to be welcomed joyfully and gladly, as each phase of human life is a step onward on the path which has no end. Man has powers which transcend his body. He has senses which transcend his five senses. Scientists today are setting forth positive, undisputable evidence that man can leave his present body and travel thousands of miles and see, hear, touch, and speak to people, even though his physical body is on a couch thousands of miles away. Man's life is spiritual and eternal. He never grows old, for spirit or life cannot grow old. Life is self-renewing, eternal, and indestructible. God is life, and life is the reality of all men. The evidence of the immortality of man is overwhelming. The scientist cannot see with his eyes an electron, yet he accepts it as a scientific fact because it is the only reasonable conclusion which coincides with other observable phenomena. We can't see God or life. However, we know we are alive. Life is, and we are to express it in all its beauty and glory. The Bible says, "This is life eternal, that they might know thee, the only true God." John chapter 17, verse 3. The man who thinks or believes that the earthly cycle of birth, adolescence, youth, maturity, and old age is all there is to life is indeed to be pitied. Such a man has no honor, no hope, no vision, and to him life has no meaning. This type of belief brings frustration, stagnation, cynicism, and a sense of hopelessness resulting in neurosis and mental aberrations of all kinds. If you can't play a fast game of tennis or swim as fast as your son, or if your body is slowed down or you walk with a slow step, remember, spirit is always clothing itself anew. What men call death is but a journey to a new city in another mansion of our Father's house. I say to men and women in my lectures that they should accept what we call old age gracefully. Age has its own glory and beauty which belongs to it. Love, beauty, peace, joy, happiness, wisdom, goodwill, and understanding, these qualities never grow old and never die. Emerson said, "We do not count a man's years until he has nothing else to count." Your character, the quality of your mind, your faith, and convictions are not subject to decay. I met a surgeon in England, age 84, who operates every morning, visits patients in the afternoons, and writes in the evening. He is young at 84, full of life, zeal, enthusiasm, love, and goodwill. He has not surrendered to advancing years. He knows that he is immortal. He said to me, "If I should pass on tomorrow, I would be operating on people in the next dimension, not with a surgeon's scalpel, but with mental and spiritual surgery." John Wesley was very active in expounding his convictions about God and his laws when he was close to 90. Our own President Herbert Hoover is very active and performing monumental work on behalf of the government at the age of 83. He is healthy, happy, vigorous, and full of life and enthusiasm. I have listened to him speak over the radio. His mind is clear and decisive. I believe his mental acumen and sagacity are much greater now than when he was 40. He finds life interesting and fascinating. I read recently where he spends all the time available in writing the life of former President Woodrow Wilson. Mr. Hoover is a very religious man, and is full of faith in God, life, and the universe. He was subjected to a barrage of criticism and condemnation in the years of the Depression, but he weathered the storm and did not grow old in hatred, resentment, ill will, and bitterness. On the contrary, he went into the silence of his soul, and, communing with the indwelling God, he found the peace which is the power at the heart of God. The greatest of all shock absorbers and preventatives of decrepitude and mental and physical disorders is peace at the divine center within you. Tune in and feel it now. All the barbs, criticism, anger, and hate aimed at you will be absorbed, neutralized, and lost in the great ocean of God's love and peace within you. This is the secret of remaining young forever. My father learned the French language at 65, became an authority on it at 70. He also made a study of Gaelic when he was over 60, and became a famous teacher of the language. He actively assisted my sister in a school of higher education, and continued to do so until he passed away at 93. His mind was as clear at 99 as it was when he was 50. Moreover, his handwriting and his reasoning powers had improved through the years. Cato learned Greek at 80, and Mademoiselle Schumann-Heink reached the pinnacle of her musical success when she was a grandmother. There is an old saying which has an underlying truth, and that is that a man is as old as he feels. You are as old and as young as your thought. Reason it out for yourself. Ask yourself a simple question such as this: when was my mind born? When will it die? Hath mind and spirit a beginning? How could there be an end to that which has no beginning or end? Life was never born, and it will never die. Water wets it not, fire burns it not, wind blows it not away. You know these things to be true. You could say, "I am old, I am useless, I am unwanted," etc. Never in eternity could you exhaust the glories and beauties that are within you, for infinity is within you. There is no end to man, since there is no end to God. To maintain this concept will keep you forever young, vital, keen, alert, alive, and full of the light that never grows dim. Your gray hairs are a great asset to you. They symbolize wisdom, understanding, forbearance, and strength of character. Many clergymen receive all manner of wonderful offers when they are over 60. People believe that they know something by that time. One man said to me recently, "The only reason I come to see you is because you have gray hairs. I believe you have been through the mill, and that you are talking from experience." Ministers find it very easy to get a good position at 45, 60, and over. A retired priest recently informed me that he has been receiving fabulous offers from many sources. He is 70. Truth, love, and wisdom have no age. It is possible for a boy of 12 years of age who studies the laws of mind and the way of the Spirit to have a greater knowledge of God than his grandfather who refuses to open his mind to the truths of God. Don't ever quit a job and say, "I am retired, I am old, I am finished." That is stagnation, death, and you are finished. Some men are old at 30, and others are young at 80. The mind is the master weaver, the architect, the designer, and the sculptor. George Bernard Shaw was quite active at 90, and the architectural quality of his mind had not relaxed from active duty. I meet men and women who tell me that some employers almost slam the door in their faces when they say that they are over 40. This attitude on the part of these employers is to be considered cold, callous, evil, and completely void of compassion or understanding. The total emphasis seems to be on youth. That is, you must be under 35. The reason behind this is certainly very shallow. If the employer would stop and think, he would realize that the man or woman was not selling his age or gray hair. Rather, he was willing to give of his talents, his experience, his wisdom, gathered through years of experience in the marketplace of life. By means of practice and application, the man's age should be a distinct asset to the organization. His gray hair, if he had any, should stand for greater wisdom, skill, and understanding. A man or woman with emotional and spiritual maturity is a tremendous blessing to any organization. A man should not be asked to resign when he is 65. That is the time of life when he could be most useful in handling personnel problems, making plans for the future, shaping decisions, and in the realm of creative ideas based on his experience and insight into the nature of the business. A motion picture writer in Hollywood told me that he had to write scripts which would cater to the 12-year-old mind. This is a tragic state of affairs, which indicate that the great masses of people have not become emotionally and spiritually mature. It seems that all the accent is placed on youth, and youth stands for inexperience, lack of discernment, and hasty judgment. I am now thinking of a man of 60 years of age who is trying frantically to keep young. He swims with young men every Sunday, goes on long hikes, plays tennis, and boasts of his prowess and physical power, saying, "Look, I can keep up with the best of 'em," etc. He has forgotten the great truth, which is, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Diets, exercise, and games of all kinds will not keep this man young. It is necessary for him to see that he grows old or young through his processes of thinking. The spirit is conditioned by thought. If his thoughts are on the beautiful, the noble, and the good, he will be young regardless of his chronological years. Job said, "The thing which I greatly feared is come upon me." There are many people who fear old age, and are uncertain about the future, accepting mental and physical deterioration as the years advance. What they think and feel come to pass. We grow old when we lose interest in life, when we cease to dream, to hunger after new truths and worlds to conquer. When the mind is open to new ideas, new interests, and when we raise the curtain and let in the sunshine and inspiration of new truths of God and His universe, we will always be young and vital. If you are 90 or 99, realize you have much to give. You can help stabilize, guide, and direct the younger generation. You can give of your knowledge, your experience, and your wisdom. You can always look ahead, for you are gazing into infinity. You will find that you can never cease to unveil the glories and the wonders of the Infinite One. Veil after veil is lifted, and its face becomes more august and wonderful. Try to learn something new every moment of the day, and you will find your mind will always be young. I was introduced to a man in Bombay who said he was 110 years old. He had the most beautiful face I have ever seen. He seemed transfigured by the radiance of an inner light. There was a rare beauty in his eyes, indicating he had grown old with gladness. I receive many letters from men and women who say, "I was turned down because I am over 40. This is a stupid indifference to the sincere desire of these workers to express their talents and abilities. It would seem that we have created a new cult called the 35 cult. One man told me that he could not be hired because he was 36, and the company would have to pay a few dollars more for insurance premiums. How narrow-minded, short-sighted, and revolting is such an attitude. The reverse should be true. There should be a respect for the man's experience and capacities. The newspapers are taking cognizance of the fact that the voting population of the elderly in California elections is increasing by leaps and bounds. This means their voice will be heard in the legislature of the state, and also in the halls of Congress. I believe there should be a federal law enacted prohibiting employers from discriminating against men and women just because of age. A man of 65 may be younger, mentally, psychologically, and physically, than many men at 30. It is stupid and ridiculous beyond words to tell a man he can't be hired because he is over 40. It is like saying to him that he is ready for the scrap heap or the junk pile. What is a man of 40 or over to do? Bury his talents and hide his light under a bushel? Men who are deprived and prevented from working because of age must be sustained by government treasuries at county, state, and federal levels. The very organizations who refuse to hire them and benefit from their wisdom and experience will be taxed to support them. They are biting off their nose to spite their face. It is a form of financial suicide. Man is here to enjoy the fruits of his labor and is here to be a producer and not a prisoner of a society which compels him to idleness. Man's body slows down gradually as he advances through the years, but the mind can be much more active, alert, alive, and quickened by the Holy Spirit. Man's mind does not have to grow old. Job said, "Oh, that I were as in months past, as in the days when God preserved me, when his candle shined upon my head, and when by his light I walked through darkness, as I was in the days of my youth, when the secret of God was upon my tabernacle." Job chapter 29, verses 2, 3, and 4. The secret which Job speaks of is joy. All of us can capture our youth by stirring up the gift of God within us. Every time we recognize the Spirit within as Lord omnipotent and reject the power of false beliefs of the world, we are stirring up the gift of God within us. In him there is fullness of joy. The joy of the Lord is my strength. Feel the miraculous, healing, self-renewing, ever-living God moving through your mind and body. Know that you are inspired, lifted up, rejuvenated, and strengthened. Then, you will feel a deep response and become rejuvenated, revitalized, and recharged spiritually. You can bubble over with enthusiasm and joy as in the days of your youth, for the simple reason that you can always recapture the joyous state mentally and emotionally. The candle which shines upon your head is divine intelligence, which reveals to you everything you need to know and enables you to affirm the presence of your good regardless of appearances. You walk by his light because you know the dawn appears and all the shadows flee away. Instead of saying, "I am old," say, "I am wise in the ways of God." You are never a failure, for you know he never faileth. You can always travel in your mind and conquer new fields. Don't let the race mind, corporations, newspapers, statistics hold a picture before you of old age, declining years, decrepitude, senility, and uselessness. Reject it, for it is a lie. You can rise above the race mind and refuse to be hypnotized by such propaganda. Affirm life, not death. Realize you live forever, and spirit is your reality. Get a vision of yourself as happy, radiant, successful, serene, and full of the light of God. If you're retired, get interested in the Bible, its inner meaning. Get a new vocation. Do something you always loved to do. Go to the university and take up subjects you always wanted to study. Travel, explore, investigate, and pray as follows. Say, "As the hart panteth after the water brooks, so panteth my soul after thee, O God." Psalm 42, verse 1. Be sure that your mind never retires. It must be like a parachute, which is no good except it opens up. Be open and receptive to new ideas. I have seen men of 65 and 70 retire. They seem to rot away, and in a few months pass on. They felt life was at an end. This retirement was a new venture, a new challenge, a new path, the beginning of the fulfillment of a long dream. It is inexpressibly depressing to hear a man say, "What shall I do? I'm retired." He is saying, in effect, "I am mentally and physically dead. My mind is bankrupt of ideas." All this is a false picture. The real truth is you can accomplish more at 90 than you did at 60, because each day you are growing in wisdom and understanding of God and His universe through your new studies and interest. His flesh shall be fresher than a child's. He shall return to the days of his youth. Job chapter 33, verse 25. Realize you will never have an old mind, except you think you have. Learn to give all allegiance and devotion to the indwelling God which is supreme, the only cause and power. To give power to the race mind, to senescence, sickness, to people, conditions, and events, divide your allegiance and instills conflict and fear. You might be 80 years old, chronologically speaking, but if you are cranky, irritable, irascible, petulant, and cantankerous, you are really old regardless of the number of years you have accumulated, whether 30 or 90. Old age means the contemplation of the truth of God from the highest standpoint. This brings you to the well of God where you drink of the waters of life, which keep you forever refreshed, and God intoxicated. Look forward to a greater degree of spiritual awareness, and realize that you are on an endless journey, a series of infinite steps in the ceaseless, tireless, endless ocean of God's love. Then, with the psalmist, you will say, "They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be fat and flourishing." Psalm 92, verse 14. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23. You are a son of the infinite, which knows no end, and you are a child of eternity. Living without strain. The inner meaning of the book of Job. Living without strain. The book of Job is one of the most important, significant, and profound books of the Bible. It has been the subject of theological and philosophical debate for many centuries. The main theme of the book deals with human suffering, setting forth the story of a just and upright man who, apparently through no fault of his own, meets with all kinds of dire misfortune and calamities, and finally recoups all his losses and experiences happiness, prosperity, and peace of mind. The sublimity, spiritual insight, imagery, symbolic beauty, and excellence of expression make it an ever-recurrent inspiration. Its depth of feeling and contemplative content touches the heartstrings and plays upon them, the eternal song of triumph, victory, and the power to overcome all obstacles. The great truths embodied in the Book of Job are indeed a sanctuary to all which may turn for guidance and light on their problems, for it is a sanctuary built out of the treasure house of the light of the one who forever is. It opens the door to faith and understanding. It embodies the great law of life. The book consists of 5 parts. 1. The prologue, written like the epilogue in prose, which is chapter 1. 2. The colloquies of Job and his friends, which are chapters 3 through 31. Part 3. The speeches of Elihu, chapters 32 through 37. Part 4. The speeches of Jehovah out of the storm with brief answers by Job, chapters 38 through 42. And finally, Part 5. The epilogue. 2 literary styles are represented in the Book of Job: narrative prose and didactic poetry. Both, however, are exquisitely presented and artistically executed. The contents of the Book of Job are essentially a profound psychological inquiry into the mystery of experience. Scholars do not know who wrote the Book of Job, but include it in the group of books of wisdom, of which it is doubtless one of the greatest. The whole drama is of legendary origin, but it is essentially the story of all men. Spiritually speaking, you are Job yourself, as you come out of the fog and are regenerated by the interior light and begin to sense that God is pushing through you into open manifestation, emerging out of misery and suffering into the beatific vision. Comments on Chapter 1, the Book of Job, verses 1 through 6. There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God, and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household. So that this man was the greatest of all the men of the East. And his sons went, and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For, Job said, It may be that my sons have sinned, and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. The first verse means that we are all born into this world, which is called Uz, that is, the conditioned state. We are born into all that our environment represents, and are conditioned by parental influence, environmental surroundings, plus the influence of the race mind. Every individual is really a group of beliefs, opinions, and concepts which clothe the real being. The word man in Sanskrit means the measurer. Hence, man is a mind that measures all things. You are in the land of Uz, a conditioned world or state of limitation, bondage, and restriction, until you awaken to your inner potentialities. Every child born in the world is the infinite one assuming the form of that child. You come into this world for the joy of self-discovery. If your inner powers functioned automatically, you would never be able to discover yourself. It is possible for you to use the life forces both positively and negatively, otherwise you would never be able to grow, expand, or deduce a law from them. All of us remain under the bondage of our hereditary concepts, early theological training, and doctrinal beliefs until we learn about the creative capacity of our own mind.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?